Welcome to the People and Performance Podcast, featuring guest experts from such global brands as NASA, Salesforce, the Milwaukee Bucks, Staples Professional, IBM, Mutual of America, Xero, and Simon Sinek Inc. The show offers expert insights into the strategic capabilities and behaviors needed to grow and sustain employee performance.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the People and Performance Podcast. Hey, this is Chris Bjorling, People and Performance Podcast, co-host and president at Fidello Inc. In this episode of the People and Performance Podcast, we dive deep into some practical strategies, insights, and success stories from an industry leader who champions diverse ways to leverage DE&I initiatives to achieve higher overall levels of employee performance. Listen as we explore ways in which a more diverse workforce, coupled with robust DE&I recruitment policies, can become a catalyst for positive change, propelling organizations to new heights of success. Our guest this time is Keirsten Greggs, founder and CEO of Trap Recruiter LLC, a recruiting, consulting, and career coaching firm. With over 20 years of experience in talent acquisition, she's passionate about helping organizations attract, select, and retain the best people, including underrepresented candidates, as well as helping job seekers find their voice in the hiring process. Bill Banham and I hope you enjoy this conversation we had with Keirsten. And if you do, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome, Keirsten. Hey, in 2 minutes or less, can you please introduce yourself to Bill and I and to our listening audience?
Hi, everyone. I am Keirsten Greggs, the founder of Trap Recruiter LLC, a full-service talent acquisition consultancy that is committed to bridging the gap between job seekers and employers by putting trust, relationship building, accountability, and a proactive approach back into the recruiting lifecycle. I hail from New Jersey, but I now live in Northern Virginia outside of Washington, D.C. I love coffee, bacon, popcorn, and that's about it.
I love the bacon reference. Thank you so much. So talk to me, because we talked earlier and it was fun to feel this and hear this from you, but talk to me about your passion for recruiting.
So anytime someone asks me that, my question is, how can you not be passionate about recruiting? We spend the majority of our lives at work, those of us who are of working age, and it's just exciting and it feels good to be a part of making someone else feel good, connecting them to the right job that's going to, help sustain them and those type of things. So being a part of that is what excites me. And I'm passionate about recruiting because I love what I do. Like I said, it's fun. I appreciate the companies that I have the opportunity to recruit for. And if we're honest, angry recruiter is probably going to be your worst enemy, because if you're not excited about the things that you're doing, the company that you're supporting is going to come through in your recruiting process, is going to come through with your employees. So having recruiters that are passionate about their work, even, the majority of the time, is going to yield high rewards for the organization, for your employees, and for the recruiters themselves.
That's great. I love the concept about the angry recruiter, or the angry passion that gets out there, because you see that and you kind of get what you attract. So that's a great story. So let's talk about attracting and recruiting strategies here. Mm-hmm. So can you share a couple, 2, 3 of your top diversity recruiting strategies that you work with and that, you've seen achieve better results and better levels in DE&I, in the workplaces that you've been working with?
I always start with recruiters. A lot of times when folks complain about their diversity strategies not working or them not being able to attract diverse candidates, it's because they don't have a diverse recruiting staff, people that can relate to the people that they're supposed to be bringing into the organization. I mean, that's the first step in relationship building, which is a huge part of recruiting. You want to find a common ground. You want to find a commonality. It's when you have, for example, college recruiters. That's why most of the college recruiters are also not too long out of school, or they've been college recruiting for enough time and they stay on the pulse, and they keep, again, other young people or younger people at the forefront of their recruiting, they become the face of the recruiting efforts. Same with executive recruiting. You don't pull in a junior recruiter to recruit for executive talent, for veteran talent, or like you kind of want to have someone who knows what it's like to have been in the armed forces and things like that. So, like I said, having a diverse recruiting staff is one of the key drivers in building better diverse recruitment strategies. Also, I know we're talking a lot about it, and it became this big thing, especially during the pandemic, but remote work is another diversity strategy, because when we're only focused on our geographic locations, like those areas where we are, I mean, we know why companies choose certain areas to place their buildings. It could be cheaper. They could be locations that are not easily accessible to, say, public transportation. So if you don't have a car, you can't get there. And not having a car is not a requirement to have a position. You know what I'm saying? There are also people with different abilities, maybe neurodiverse, maybe they are in a wheelchair, whatever the case may be, that maybe can't get to a place, or maybe your building is not as accessible as it should be. So allowing for remote work opens up your talent pool. You can even have people across the country. Like, I work remotely, and I'm talking to you all right now. You're in upstate New York. Bill is in Canada. So that's a big thing. Like, you can find great talent in all areas. And then a lot of us do have diversity strategies. So we spend our time, crafting these things, putting the right search terms, and we're going to buy all these tools maybe, or we're going to use these words, or we're going to put up these images, and we're going to put up this content. But a lot of times we're fishing in the same pond, so to speak. So if you're not actually doing more outreach outside of your regular areas, then your diversity strategies aren't going to be as effective as you'd like them to be. So those will be my top three: expanding your sourcing pool, like getting outside of the waters that you're used to, diversifying your recruiting team, and then, where possible, really leaning into a more remote workforce.
Excellent pieces there. So let's kind of switch this a little bit and put the shoe on the foot of the candidate.
Okay.
So let me ask you this question. So what do many job candidates get wrong when they are working with a recruiter? Give us that lowdown.
So many things. They think we're their enemy, that we're some kind of evil gatekeeper that wants to keep them from jobs. And that's not always the case. Recruiters really can be your partners. Recruiters can be your advocates. They can be the ones that are, especially third-party recruiters who are representing the candidate slate to an organization. Like, they're really there, I don't like to use this term with people, but like really selling you to the organization, really, as they say, bigging you up, promoting you, amplifying you, saying the things that you don't know what to say about yourself, because a lot of people humble themselves and diminish themselves, especially in the recruiting process. So, like, partner with us. We're not your enemy. And then the second biggest thing is like thinking that one recruiter fits all. Like, one size does not fit all with recruiters, because there are some who specialize in healthcare, some that specialize in tech, some that specialize in early careers, some that specialize in certain industries. So you can't just go and say, recruiter, get me a job. That's not how it works. Like, you have to find a recruiter that's a good fit for you as well.
I love it. And your passion comes through on that side of the fence too, is like, it's, the flavors of the candidates as they come through and what they're doing. So, all right, let me come back into the workforce, into the organization. What do many employers get wrong when trying to recruit a more diverse workforce, and how can they make their employer brand more appealing to the candidates that are out there?
Okay. What are they getting wrong? Again, applying those diversity strategies to the same stale candidate pool, not having real talent attraction, strategies, meaning like you can't keep the same job postings that aren't inclusive. You can't keep having the same interview slates that again don't have a diverse set of interviewers there. What else? Focusing too much on numbers, like quotas, like that you're really not trying, you're just for the sake of saying you did something, that you're doing diversity recruiting, meaning I'm going to interview 3 people, 2 of them have to be from a diverse background. But at the end of the day, you're really not committed to hiring someone from a diverse background. You're just kind of checking that box and filling that. And then I don't think we give enough time for us to see the outcomes. We're too focused on the short term. Like I said, we'll put out there, oh my goodness, I interviewed 12, folks from a diverse background, from a diverse college, from one of our partners in neurodivergency, something like, we did these things. We'll say that, but then we'll stop. Like we're being very reactive to things. And that's another one, just being reactive. Like someone will post on the internet how horrible their candidate experience is, or how horrible their employee experience is. And then your reaction is to say, oh my goodness, we're going to do a better job. And you have a DEI training, and then the end, and you move on. So not having any work, check the box. So then not having any long-term actual strategies, and really measuring, over time, what are your goals going to be? And then lastly, being transparent. We still talk about pay transparency. That is one of the best ways to really show that you have a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, is not only putting up your salaries when you're recruiting, but letting your workforce know how much the other people that they're working with, their colleagues, the people who are on their same level, doing their same job, are making, and why, and then fixing any issues that you have. So there it is.
Keirsten, I feel like Chris has been doing all the talking so far, so I'm gonna jump in now.
Okay.
With a few questions. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about something that folks like to talk about at the moment. They're fascinated by it. I co-hosted a Disrupt HR London UK event last month as we record this episode, and 6 of the talks out of the 12 were on AI and how it's influencing the world of work and HR functions and recruiting and all the rest of it. So, for what you've seen from the conversations that you have, how do you think AI is helping to remove bias from the sourcing component and the recruiting processes?
That is a great question. And I know that our intention is to use AI to remove bias, but unless we're using ethical AI tools, we're actually keeping the bias in the system. So if you've created tools, or you're using tools that have bias baked in, and I'm going to give an example, a recent example that was going around Twitter. Someone put in Chat GPT or one of the other tools. I'm not sure if it was Chat GPT specifically, but like, what does the staff of a particular college look like? And it was extremely biased. So unless you are using tools that can sit, when you're sourcing, that can guarantee that they have designed it and programmed it in a way that extracts that unconscious bias, or even, gives you prompts to do things in a in a more unbiased way, or a more inclusive way, then your AI tool is not going to be that effective. So that's my thought on that, because AI in itself is biased. We know this.
The good news is that in states such as California and New York, they are bringing in new legislation around auditing of recruitment technologies, which is great. So recently, I got the chance to interview the co-founder from a company called Holistic AI, and that's exactly what they do. And they're jumping all over this. So I'm still skeptical. I still think that somewhere at the top, there's a programmer, and maybe he's a middle class white guy with his own biases and all the rest of it, and that's where it starts. I don't know if that'll still permeate through, but it's great to see that things are being audited more, and also making sure that the AI doesn't take over. But that's another conversation for another time. We are running out of time, in fact, for this particular interview. Just a few more questions for you. The next couple are questions that we ask of all of our guests. Okay, so don't worry if you repeat some of the things that you mentioned so far. That's okay. We like to use these questions within the main interview, and then sometimes we'll take those out and create a montage of different answers to the same question. Okay, so the first of those two is, in 1 minute or less, Keirsten, can you share one piece of advice or some direction that you were given by a mentor, a leader, or a colleague that inspired you to perform at a higher level in your career?
Yeah, the best piece of advice I've gotten recently was to stop worrying about pleasing everyone and what everyone else wants me to be, and be myself. And the people that I need to reach, the people that can use the information that I'm trying to give them, the people that value me are going to gravitate to me anyway. You're not for everyone, and stop trying to please everyone was pretty much the best advice I've gotten as of late.
And how's that working out for you? What's that doing for you in terms of freeing up time, giving you a new perspective, allowing you to be more present in the moment, perhaps? But I mean, this is not a people or performance related question. Actually, I guess in some ways it is. If we're talking about how it's affecting you in your work life as well as your personal life, I'd love to, just pick your brains.
Yeah, and what you just said, it frees up my time. It helps me from not being so anxious. And being in a people-facing role, like other folks can feel that, when I'm a little bit anxious and not sure of myself, I'm a little less confident than I should be because I'm trying to fit into a box or trying too hard to make sure I say the right thing, wear the right thing, not come across a certain way. And when I just am myself, when I just relax, again, those things go away. It becomes more natural, and it's a benefit to whoever I'm working with and for myself. So I can be like, whew. And it helps me, like I said, free up my time because I don't feel obligated to try and do everything all the time.
Pleased to hear it. Okay, one more standard question that we ask of all of our guests, and take your time if you want. You've got more time. You've freed up some time, so take your time. It goes as follows. From a culture and people processes perspective, what does a high-performing company mean to you?
So I'm going to be transparent here and say that when someone says high performing, my anxiety triggers a bit because I start to think about being robotic and like, oh my goodness, like it's output. I feel like a machine. I feel like the AI in those regards. So I like to think more in terms of high efficiency. And those type of things will yield to, more output, better performance. So yeah, when people think of high performance, they're thinking of, like I said, like make 100 phone calls in 2 hours. I made that up. I don't even know if that's possible. But still, like you don't like when you're focused on those type of things, of those being the standards for what high performance is. I think for me, that becomes toxic. So I like to think more of high efficiency.
Okay, thank you very much. And just finally for today, how can folks connect with you? So maybe you might want to share your LinkedIn, your email address, some of your other socials, and of course, how can they learn more about Trap Recruiter?
Well, to learn more about Trap Recruiter, you can go to my website, www.traprecruiter.com. I am at Trap Recruiter on all socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My Instagram, of course, has my link tree as well, where you can see interviews like this or listen to interviews like this. Check out some of the other things I'm doing, where I'm going to be next. LinkedIn will have all of my, upcoming events and things like that I'm doing. So yeah, just all on social at Trap Recruiter everywhere.
All over the place.
And I do host 2 shows. every Wednesday, I do my own show, Trap Chat Live. It's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And also every other Wednesday, I host a show called Wins, Woes, and Wine, sponsored by Visage Jobs, which talks to recruiting leaders about their career journeys. So yeah, check those out too.
Check those out, listeners. Well, Keirsten, that just leaves us to say for today, thank you very much for being our guest.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the People and Performance Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.